everybody, Gina DeLuca here. All right, today you're probably thinking, what on earth is going on here already? I've just laid down some, basically this would be an underpainting if I were using a brush. I'm doing a landscape, well actually more of a seascape type pour, or actually the Impressionist, fluid art Impressionism, let's just call it that. And I just don't want white canvas because if I'm swiping it back and forth, I don't want to scrape down to a white canvas. So I just want to make sure there's some kind of color underneath, just in case. The colors I am using. Okay, well this is a lot. So this here is the Liquitex Basics Brilliant Blue. Liquitex Basics in Cadmium Yellow Deep Hue and Basics in Magenta. That is what created these colors. This does not look magenta. When it mixes with that yellow, it turns into a nice sky color, sunset color. Those are great sunset colors. For these colors, these are actually Blacklight Reactive, and I've just changed the tint of them so that on a painting they will look pretty and not like neon, but when you have a black light on it, it will react. So I have the neon orange in Artist Loft, and to that I have added the magenta and the deep hue. I have the yellow, which I've added the yellow deep hue. Pink, to which I added the magenta. I have the Blick Studio Acrylics in Fluorescent Purple, to which I have added magenta. And I have the Neon Blue, to which I added the Brilliant Blue. So now these colors don't look so neon. You can really see it's a big difference. When you add to it, it really doesn't take a whole lot to change the hue of it. But it does make a difference if you want something that's going to look nice hanging on a wall and not look psychedelic, but when it reacts to a black light, totally looks psychedelic. So let's get cracking. Before we get started, have you seen the Fluid Art inspiration cards? If you have, you can fast forward about a minute, but if you have not, ooh. Okay, now, what we have are 52 cards. There are 42 technique cards. Each technique card has an associated video here on YouTube. That would be that particular video. The picture for that. That box there contains a tip for that particular technique. This here is the color palette for that particular video, painting, what have you. And these two boxes can be used together as a two-color palette. So you can build off of that or just use two colors and go the minimalist approach. And there are also 8 bonus color palette cards. Each one has 5 color palettes. Use all of the colors, use just some of the colors, mix and match the palettes and techniques, and you have hundreds of thousands of combinations. These are available at my website, ginadeluca.net. Oh, let me tell you, these paints have been mixed 1 part paint to 2 parts Floetrol. I have not added any water, and grab one that's not dripping. The consistency that we're working with is about a 4, maybe. I'd say about a 4. Very thick, making a mound on top of a mound. I like it a bit thicker when I'm doing this technique. Okay, switching to voiceover here because I need to make this go a little faster, or it would take me 7 years to upload the video. So what I am doing now is adding the blue and the purple, and I'm going to try to blend that in with, that would be that pinkish orange. So one of the things I had to be careful with is mixing that blue with the yellow would make green. That is not a color you generally see in the sky unless there is a tornado coming. So I had to be mindful of that and try to add that blue in first. And you may be able to notice if you're looking on a big enough screen when I'm doing these, well, I'm kind of moving fast, so maybe not, but after I add the fluid acrylics, as I'm swiping back and forth every now and then, I scrape down to the canvas, but you don't see white showing through. If it got very thin somewhere, then that underpainting is going to show through. And because the fluorescent paints are so very transparent, I just wanted to make sure that there was definitely coverage of the painting underneath. I probably could have just done the yellow instead of doing that magenta in there, or just less magenta. But, you know, I'm just giving it a whirl. My first time doing this particular thing, trying to get that wispy sky with the palette knife swipes. And one of the good things about adding the other paints to the neon colors, or the fluorescent colors, is that it does help with the transparency. It makes it just a bit more opaque. Just a bit. But, yeah, sorry about that. I got a phone call and didn't even realize it. And so I just kept on painting, but my video had stopped. What I did is I just put a horizon in there. I just took some of that fluorescent purple and just gave myself a horizon. I make it in the lower third. You don't want it straight through the middle of the painting. You want to go by the rule of thirds. Right in the middle would just feel really weird, so you would either want it in the top third and focus on the water, or in the lower third and focus on the sky. So this is focusing on the sky. So now trying to get that good blend with the blue and the purple and that and the pink in there, trying to not get weird colors because, you know, you're trying to blend it with yellow and orange, and you're basically putting all of the rainbow together and trying to not make mud, because mud doesn't look pretty in a sky. So sometimes I have to come back with a color on top. If I got a little bit muddy, then I just bring more paint in over top to correct it. And trying to touch up my sides a little bit here and there. Now I'm going to add in that bright yellow where the sun is just hiding out behind those clouds, but kind of poking through. And of course, it would be reflecting off of the water. Where I'm putting the colors, I'm trying to keep in mind what is actually going to be reflecting on that water. And oh, that's Satchmo. He was wondering who I'm talking to. So I'm trying to get the reflections right in the water. Generally, it's going to be darker as you get closer to the horizon. Whatever your color is going to be, whether you're painting blue water or sunset colored water, you generally want it slightly darker towards the back. That's just kind of how the reflections work and trick the eye. There is this recording box in the way, so I can't see what I'm doing when I download there. Okay. Trying to get this blend in the sky the way that I want it. I want it to look wispy. And just like with the splashes, I'm coming in with the darks, I'm coming in with the lights, and I'm going back and forth between the two, trying to get the blend that I'm looking for. For the most part, this technique is very forgiving. If you left out the blue, I mean, you can't mess this up. The blue is the X factor here that can make things go hinky if not done just so. So I'm putting in the shadows that will be towards the edges because there's going to be some rocks and mountains there. Satchmo, what are you? Oh, okay. Satchmo is under the rug right now. Okay, we're just going to let him do what he's going to do, because at least he's not climbing the wall, literally. I'm in my music studio and I have soundproofing on the walls, and sometimes he likes to scale it to get to the ceiling. Okay, back to the painting. So now I'm putting in the shadows and I'm coming back in with some of the lighter colors, getting that watery feel, getting a little wave action in the reflections. And though it may look strange right now, once I pop those mountains in, it's going to all make sense. So I have a lot of blue and purple in that corner, and so I want that side to be darker. And I'm just back and forth with lighter colors and darker colors, and I'm like, yeah, this side needs to be a little darker. I'm not sure about putting that reflection of that straight blue in there. I think next time I might tint that a different color. It shouldn't be quite as glowy as the blue in the sky. So I might next time darken that up a bit with a purple, perhaps. Still have it blue so it shows up in the black light, but not such a brilliant blue. Okay, and I'm starting to feel like, all right, now the reflection is starting to feel like it's reflecting the sky. Here comes the mountains, or the islands, or whatever you want to call it. Oh, that color was, I don't think I mentioned it, was Raw Umber and Dioxazine Purple. The Dioxazine Purple dries very, very dark, almost black, but I didn't want it to be too purple, so I added the Raw Umber to it, and it makes a nice mountainous color. And just try Satchmo. He's so upset that I'm not paying attention to him right now. But if he were on the other side of that door, he would not stop yelling. Okay, so now I'm going to put a little island in the background. Way off in the distance. Happy little island. Just off in the distance. Somewhere on that island live some happy little birds and some happy little trees. And it doesn't, you know, have to be perfect because this is, again, this is Impressionism. It is not supposed to look like a photograph when you look at it up close. The further away you get, the more realistic it looks. And then when you get up close, it doesn't quite make sense to the eye. It's almost like an illusion, which is what I love about Impressionism. Okay, and now I am bringing in some of that darkest color into the reflections in the water, and I felt like I needed one more rock over here because I didn't love the way that the water was looking. It's another thing you can do. Happy accidents. There's place for another rock. And so it actually gives it some more depth because this rock is closest. And then the first one that I painted is kind of in the mid-ground. And then the one that is smallest is all the way in the back. And it just gives you the feeling that you're in the islands somewhere. And now bringing in that darkest color for the reflections. It makes such a difference when you do that. But I lost some of my blue, so I got to bring that back. And I'm just going to keep on doing that until it feels right. And I'm not really blending these so much in the water. Up in the sky, I was trying to get them to blend somewhat, but in the water, I actually want that separation between the colors because then it looks like ripples in the water. And here I am bringing in some more of the yellow because I wanted more of that sun reflecting on the water. And in retrospect, I may have done that a bit differently. I probably should have made the reflection a little wider as it got closer to me. That is kind of probably how it would have looked in real life. But I'm just flying by the seat of my pants here. So, note to self, the reflection will get wider as it gets closer to you. And reflections of mountains and such, the closer it is to you, the deeper the shadowing is going to be. You know, when it's off in the distance, it's not going to be quite so noticeable because there will be more light reflecting. And then the closer it is to you, the darker. And I'm just kind of making the horizon a bit more distinct. Could be a bunch more islands off in the distance. Just tightening up that third rock. My sides. Don't forget your sides. I should have addressed the top of this painting sooner than I did. I had to do a bit of correction after I stopped rolling the film.
but it's fixed. But I should have fixed it sooner. Those drips were a pain in the tuchus to fix. And so I'm just adding just the slightest bit of color, neon, to the rocks. It's barely even noticeable. It just looks like there's a bit of sun reflecting off of certain areas. Very, very subtle. And trying to get this area the way that I wanted it. I was fussing a lot with this area and it was just making it all blend, and I wasn't keeping my reflections, which was bumming me out. But it's a forgiving art form, so just keep going back and keep working it and keep working it. I keep working it until it's drying. This, the whole thing took me just over an hour. Pretty quick for an impressionist piece. Relatively quicker than my splashes anyway. And now I'm trying to bring some of that blue back in, because it should be reflecting some blue. Really fussing in this corner. Imagine how bad it would have been had I not added that rock. So much fussing. More fussing. It was just driving me nuts. But this is where I stop fussing. Hallelujah.
Okay, I'm gonna call it quits. I'm gonna stop messing around with it before I mess it up. And I'm gonna wait for it to get dark, and then we're gonna take a look at what this looks like close up and with the black light. I think it's gonna be pretty darn cool. I'm really happy with how this came out so far. We will see what happens, how it dries, and yeah, I'm just gonna touch up these sides a bit, and I'm gonna bring you in for a close-up back in a few. Okay, here it is. I love this piece. I love it. I think it came out so cool. I love the way that these colors blend it together. The neons are transparent, so it really does kind of lend itself to blending well and looking very layered. Really happy with this piece. But wait till you see it with the black light. Hold tight. Okay, if you can see, it definitely reacts to the black light. It's driving the camera insane. It doesn't know what's going on. But it's so much better in person. But it glows. It looks like a sunset. That blue is so pretty. If I shine it right on it, it changes the color of it. Not to the eye, just to the camera. But all of it is just lit up like a Christmas tree. I mean, what more could you ask for? I wish you could see this better. Oh, that is just tragic. The camera is very confused by what's happening on this canvas with this light. If I do it indirectly. Like that section is so cool. Love it. Maybe if I get further away, and you see all the mess there. But there it is. But yeah, that's it for this one. I'm totally digging this. I hope you did too. I hope you learned something. If you did, please do like, share, and subscribe and all that good stuff. Do check out the description box below for links to my website, GinaDeLuca.net, where you can find my art and music and fluid art inspiration cards for sale. Also, you will find my affiliate links where you can make your online purchases as you normally would, but when you use that link, I make a small commission at no additional cost to you. Also, you will find the link to our Facebook group, Go Make Some Art, post your masterpieces, ask some questions, get some inspiration. Yeah. Well, I hope y'all were digging this. I sure am. This one might be hard to part with. But that is it for me for today. I hope you all have a beautiful day. Now go make some art.